Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Real Estate Realities with the Rebel Broker. My name's Robert Whitelaw, and I am the Rebel Broker, licensed real estate broker right here in Santa Clara County, helping buyers and sellers reach their real estate goals since 1988. I'm also a member of the National Association of Realtors, but please don't hold that against me. There are a lot of topics floating around this week that I potentially was going to talk about, and I decided to focus on AI. But before we jump into that, let me just suggest take a minute to check out a few things that we have on queue for this month. First is this month's Coffee and Real Estate for July of 2023. You can go to my website at soldbyrobert.com to find out more about that. That's an opportunity for us on the third Saturday of each month to get together live and chat about the latest data that we have. We're in that interesting time of year when we're past the peak of the year, and it tends to be pivotal for some communities. And I just ran the numbers this morning for June, and I think we're definitely seeing that playing out. So it'll be, I think, a very interesting conversation to have. So make sure to join me for that. Of course, I also do market analysis videos that you can find both on my website at soldbyrobert.com, but also on YouTube. And of course, there's this podcast, which is available in iTunes, all the various ways, right, that you might want to consume it. And you can find those at therebelbroker.com or on soldbyrobert.com. And then finally, the tools that I offer for buyers and sellers, I'd suggest you check those out. I'm particularly excited about the new tools that I've just started using for folks that are run by HomeBot AI. And this kind of leads us into this week's topic. The HomeBot AI tool is great for the usual stuff, right? I mean, every real estate agent out there wants to give you the monthly report that gives you the value of your home, right? Based on current data, what's your home worth? But this tool goes way above and beyond all that. So if you're someone who never wants to sell your home, but you want to get regular information on what the status of your mortgage is, what the effects of you paying a extra towards your principal every month would be over the long-term costs of your mortgage, how to tap into your equity, how much equity do you have, what are different ways to get access to your equity, what if you decided to rent your house for a month, all these different things that this tool allows you to do is pretty amazing. So feel free to check in. Again, soldbyrobert.com to find that. And it's right there on the front page. Just front page, left side, enter your address, and it'll give you not only the instant value estimate of your home, but give you access to all those tools I just described. So HomeBot AI, very cool tool. What's the important part of that? AI, artificial intelligence. And in so many different ways, artificial intelligence presents us with an amazing tool to do amazing things. But for buyers, sellers, and investors who are out there trying to navigate the wide, wonderful world of real estate, while getting you information through something like HomeBot AI may be a great tool, there are also shortcomings which require you to be far more diligent to get the most out of your real estate experience. So let's come at it from that standpoint, right? And then this is a show that applies to everybody. If you have to interact with a real estate agent, this is super relevant to you, no matter what you are. Whether you're a buyer, seller, or an investor, this is going to be a big deal for you. And it brings home strategies and methods that are so old school that it's a complete full circle. It's like going from the jet engine and then going all the way back to the horse-drawn carriage to solve a problem that was introduced by the jet. So if AI is the jet, then our solution to some of the problems introduced by AI is definitely the horse in the cart, which in my world is when I first got into real estate back in 1988. So let's go through it. One of the things I've been thinking about, because everyone wants to focus on the positives in the real estate business, and I just got finished watching a video on what could happen with AI, some of the bizarre conversations people have had with AI online, ranging from the AI telling the person ultimately that they were in love with them, and this bizarre, unrequited, awkward love conversation that happened. You can feel free to Google it if you like. I might even include, I'll include a link to the one of the videos that I think is really interesting on this point by a guy on YouTube. The channel is called The Y Files. Really a good overview, and he really presents it interestingly. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the description on YouTube, and I'll also put that link in the show notes for today's podcast. So feel free to check that out. But the point here is, why would you as a buyer or a seller, in terms of choosing your real estate agent, want to be worried about AI? So I asked AI. I went on up onto ChatGPT and asked it, what would be some of the negative influence of AI on the ability of buyers and sellers to pick a good real estate agent? And it came up with, let's see, how many points? It came up with 5 points, which I then had a follow-up question. Lack of personal connection, limited understanding of nuanced preferences, bias and limited diversity, over-reliance on algorithmic recommendations, and dehumanization of the process. So those are all good ones. But you know what I was thinking was, because this isn't me pulling this out as, well, what if? Because I've actually had now, I'm on lots of different mailing lists with lots of different agents. And I also get all kinds of things, whether it's major blasts of stuff that real estate agents send out as emails to a bunch of different people. And then I've also gotten much more targeted stuff. And I noticed a change in the tenor of some, because here's the reality. There are a lot of real estate agents out there that do not present themselves well when communicating. And I've noticed quite a few of that. And I noticed a change with some agents, and I had a suspicion that they were augmenting their outward communication with AI. And this is something I think you all need to be aware of, because this will happen. You will go to a real estate agent's website, you'll get information on a listing or whatever, and you'll want to get a search going. You'll provide your email address. You'll get dropped into a system that will then automatically put you into a stream of communication, really just to stay in touch with you. The goal for anybody who's trying to market their services, and I'm not saying this isn't something agents should do. They should do it sparingly, and it shouldn't be 3 times a day peppering someone's email box. But it should be, each email should present a level of value, right? You shouldn't just email someone without it being either a genuine touch point to get a status on something, or try to offer some sort of value in what you're communicating. At least that's something I try to do. Am I 100% successful? Probably not. There's probably that occasional email in the stuff that I send to stay in touch. But in every email I send, I'm at least trying to inspire some level of thought about something that the recipient may not have thought about, right? And I get a lot of those from a lot of different agents. And it's as much for me to simply see what is someone else doing, right? It just like if you are a person who owns a restaurant, you may want to go visit lots of other restaurants to see how they're doing things. Are they doing things better than you, worse than you? How do you stack up? I'm very much into that mode. I believe in all things in life, constant reflection and improvement is a good thing, right? So that's where I come at it from. But here's an experience I had last week, the week before last, right? We just had Independence Day. I celebrated that. It was fantastic. I hope all of you had a good time. But I had encountered an agent in an interaction that related to me interacting with them on behalf of a client. And then I met them in person. And there was a stark contrast between what was portrayed in the communications online versus what I ended up meeting in person. So I wanted to get into that a little bit because, as I mentioned before, this is absolutely going to happen. There is going to, and there already is, there's options I could go out and pay for right now where the entire online interaction, whether it's social media, email, whatever, is completely managed by AI for real estate agents and other industries. And I'm not sure I wouldn't do that as an agent, just to streamline the process, because it liberates some time from you. And I don't feel like in those scenarios, the only thing that bugs me is even today, I won't let other people post articles on my website, for instance, because I like to maintain my voice. So I'm sure a time will come when an AI can emulate the voice of the person. And I'd like to do that. I want to be I want things to be as authentic as possible, if that's even possible with AI involved. But what about that scenario where agents don't want it to be their authentic selves? And I think that's a far more common example than what I'm suggesting I would like to see for my own personal business. And let me go with this. Just if you have an adult beverage handy, a coffee, whatever, sit back, relax. I want you to think about this, because I think this is a cautionary tale, because so many of us start our relationships with professionals that we're going to do business with online, which is, again, a time saver. It's great. It's fantastic. But the reality is we're going to go into a world where the human being you think you're communicating never actually sees any of your communications until the AI tells it this person is now ready for you to reach out to them. So you could be having an email. You could actually have emails coming to you, and this is already happening. You have emails coming to you that were not written specifically for you, that are going out to a whole bunch of different people that are leads, people who might be buyers, people who might be sellers, people who might be investors, that includes content specific to your category as a buyer or a seller, right? But what we're going to be heading into is a world where every single email is a little bit customized, and it will be AI generated. And when you respond, the AI will look at it and respond on behalf of the person who's paying the subscription fee, right? So then you've never actually communicated. Let's say you're communicating with Agent X. This Agent X is out there doing business. They may be a great agent. They may be horrible. But the bottom line is you're not going to know that, because you aren't going to be interacting with them. You're going to be interacting with the AI that they have put in place of themselves in that layer that is designed to stay in touch with potential clients who may want to buy or sell real estate. And it'll be done in a way where they sound very professional, very on top of it. It'll be linked. I'll be able to input my MLS credentials. And when you reply with, hey, I just saw this property, what else can you tell me about it? The AI could take care of that. The AI would simply go look it up on the MLS and provide more information, or basically summarize information that was already there. That is something I do on a very regular basis, but depending on what my prior relationship is with this person, if this is someone who's been a buyer with me for a long time, and I've got very clear visions of what they do and don't like, I can point out things that may have not been obvious that fit in with things they've indicated they really like in the past. Now, at some point, AI is going to be able to do that. But again, it'll be based on a relationship that's been established between you as a buyer or a seller and the AI, not the agent who's doing it. So and you may even feel like you've built a bit of a friendship, a bit of rapport via these electronic interactions. Tone of voice, word choices, perceived level of command of the market in what's happening. All of those things are going to be things that you've extracted from your interactions with these agents, with what you believe is the agent, through email or texting or whatever else. And oh yes, it's in texting too. But then, and let's say they even got you to sign a buyer broker agreement without you ever meeting them. And then you meet them, and it becomes clear that this person is an idiot. And again, that's not a far out there concept. There are an awful lot of real estate agents that are, for all intents and purposes, well, okay, let's be kinder, that are not great at their job. But AI allowed them to create this persona in the interactions with you. So let's go ahead and see what the AI said here. So my question was, do you believe another issue might be a real estate agent being able to make themselves seem more professional and competent when they are actually not? And the AI responded with, yes, that is indeed a potential issue. With the advancements in technology, including AI, there is a possibility that real estate agents could leverage certain tools or platforms to create a facade of professionalism and competence that may not accurately reflect their true abilities. Here are a few ways this could occur. Online presence and marketing, and we already talked a little bit about that. Real estate agents can utilize various online platforms, websites, and social media to showcase their expertise, success stories, and positive client reviews. While these can be valuable indicators, they can also be selectively presented or even fabricated, creating a misleading perception of the agent's competence. Absolutely. And it is so common that I wouldn't even say this is a corner case, right? This is a mainstream problem that I think all of you need to deal with. And I think that the online presence and marketing part is really where AI is likely to be the most dominant first in real estate. Automated messaging and chatbots. This is going to be right there too. AI-driven chatbots and automated messaging systems can be used by real estate agents to handle initial interactions with potential clients. While this can enhance efficiency, it may also lead to a lack of personalized communication and mask any lack of genuine knowledge or expertise on the part of the agent. Absolutely true. And given some of the ChatGPT 4 interactions I've seen and done on my own, if the AI understands its intention is to pretend to be you, that whole personal connection thing is very something it could very clearly emulate in the near future. AI generated content, and this is absolutely happening. I get emails every day from services that want to sell me this service. I dabbled in it a little bit to just check it out and see what it was. In my case, I didn't want it to just write stuff for me, so I would give it my content and I would say, critique this. What is this? Where is this weak? Where is this strong? Is there other data that would help inform this article? And then it does it for me. And, that seemed like a good tool. However, clearly the things that are being marketed to me as a real estate agent to include as content that I share, whether it's on my social media outlets or on my website, they just want to write it for you. And that is a thing. And that is a thing that's happening. There was, way back. So for those of you who have been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know that one of the suggestions I made when you were evaluating the competence of your agent was to, if they're constantly churning out content on a regular basis, once a week, once a month, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, take a sentence or two, or even a whole paragraph and do a Google search of that and see how many times it's mentioned other places but supposedly created by other agents, right? Because there are services out there that have existed for years that will sell content to real estate agents that they are then allowed to publish as their own under their name. I've always hated that. I've never done it. I always found it to be kind of insulting, frankly, and also an insult to people who I would like to encourage to consider me as someone they would like to work with. There's a level of dishonesty to it that I did not like. Right along with the emails I get from folks saying, I'll get you 1,000 more Instagram followers, or, whatever, you can buy X amount of likes or whatever, all this crazy stuff that is so common that I get regularly pinged for those services. Not because I went and looking for that stuff, but because I'm a real estate agent, I get marketed for that stuff. And so that's AI generated content. And algorithmic recommendations. Some AI platforms claim to match buyers and sellers with real estate agents based on data analysis. And this is one I know this is a thing, and it's been a thing for a while, but this whole idea of matching buyers and sellers with agents using an algorithm is a little bit of a hokey one. These recommendations may prioritize certain agents based on factors like advertising spend or popularity rather than actual competence. And that's absolutely true. That's not a may, that is an actual is. If you're being recommended to an agent on Zillow or everywhere else, it's because that agent is paying Zillow to be a premier agent, and that is it. It doesn't matter how competent they are, because frankly, Zillow doesn't know how competent they are, right? So to address the concerns, buyers and sellers should exercise due diligence when selecting a real estate agent. Here are a few steps they can take. Research and verification. I absolutely agree with that one. Look beyond the surface level online presence and marketing efforts of agents. Seek out multiple sources of information, including referrals from trusted individuals, reviews from past clients, and any professional designations or certifications the agent may hold. Absolutely true. In-person meetings and interviews. If we were putting these in priority order, and the number one item would have been the most important, in-person meetings and interviews. And the thing that kind of shocks me is, as I mentioned, part of this was inspired by an interaction I had with a real estate agent, where once I met them, it was very clear that they were paying someone quite a bit of money for a service to manage not just their outgoing marketing, but also a lot of their interactions with humans. There are some places where when AI wasn't the way to do it, they would pay an organization to have another human being manage those interactions, whether it's via text or email or whatever else. And there are, of course, services that will manage your phone where you don't even get to talk to the human until you're actionable, right? So that would be my number one. The number two on this list would be my number one in real life for you as someone who's looking for the right real estate agent. And that interaction, that in-person meeting and interview should be a conversation. It should be, hey, so what do you think of my market? I know you haven't had a chance to look at my home in detail yet, but what do you think of the activity in the area around my home? I mean, if an agent comes to a meeting with you where you've already expressed an interest in potentially listing your home, and they don't come prepared with any kinds of numbers at all, that should tell you everything you need to know. That is an agent who's not thinking things through. And if you need anything these days in today's market, it's an agent who's thinking things through. Request references. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you know what's funny is I am far more defensive of the privacy of my past clients. And I've got a couple of folks who would probably be just fine with them being contacted. But I would understand an agent who'd say, listen, I've got references, I've got testimonials from folks you can check, and you can do things like I went to Google reviews because it was I don't have to pay for it, and it's a verifiable thing, right? They verify that it's a human being, it's a real person doing that review. So I felt like that was sort of a verified review system that I could use. And some of the other ones I had just were a little too hinky for me. But anyway, and then the final one here is seek guidance from industry professionals. Consult other professionals in the real estate industry, such as mortgage brokers, real estate attorneys, or property inspectors, who often have interactions with various agents. I don't think I would do that as much. I think your interview with the agent and verifying some of their past stuff is going to be the smart way to go. But the thing here is that the real difference between the perception of where you think this agent's skill level is versus where it actually is almost impossible to determine based on email, non-face-to-face communications, simply because it is super easy through technology to really manipulate that perception you may have of their professionalism. So that's really it for today. For today's point, the thing I wanted to get to is never make any kind of a commitment to an agent until you've met them in person. Some agents may be very pushy on this point. I know the agent that I was talking to a couple of weeks ago absolutely falls into that category. And when I ended up talking to her, and we talked more as real estate agent to real estate agent, she gets signed. This blows me away. She gets signed buyer broker agreements before she will meet with anybody to show a house. And that's how she does her business. And typically the first time that she's truly interacted with her future client is when it's time to get that signed. She manually handles the sending them the form part, the digital form for them to sign on DocuSign, so that they've got a buyer broker agreement. So in other words, for her, a majority of the time, they've never met. That buyer and her have never met before that document gets signed. Such a huge problem. Blows me away that's the way it is. That business model is working for her, but boy, I bet there are a few clients of hers that wound up being not as giddy about the whole experience once everything was said and done. Because in addition to doing business that way, in the actual act of doing real estate, I was not impressed by what I was seeing. We were talking about different things, and maybe it was because of our subject was also very much dominated by multifamily homes. She happens to be an agent in an area where I've been searching for multifamily properties to purchase, etc. And it was more of, I was trying to, as I said, I'm always looking for ways to improve. So that often includes having shop talk with another agent. And what really blew me away wasn't the conversation we had about multifamily homes or what's going on with single family residentials. It was, holy crap, how is this working for her? Where she really cannot, in person, and when you talk to her about things that are going on in the marketplace, she seems so disconnected from good information. It blows me away that works for her. But that was really it. So this is a cautionary tale for those of you out there shopping for your next real estate agent to help you buy or sell a property. Make sure you meet them in person. And again, it can be over coffee. You can meet for lunch, whatever, before you start looking at houses or before you start discussing how to market your home or your property, whatever you're trying to achieve. But have that conversation. If they're not casually comfortable with the business of real estate and discussing dynamics and getting down and dirty about what's happening in your local marketplace, probably not the agent you want. Just because you want someone with as many tools in the toolbox as possible and someone who comes completely unarmed in terms of information or data doesn't have the tools you need to get the job done. Okay. As always, the goal is to leave you with more knowledge on the table than we take up on your time. Absolutely hope we've contributed to that today and given you some tools for your toolbox to make the best decisions as you move forward with your real estate goal. Thanks again for listening. I'll talk to y'all next time.